Texas Math Mundo audience, are we in store for a treat today? Today we have the 1996 Class 2A number sense state champion, a proud Salado High School Eagle, Mr. Vinny Michna. He's going to share his wonderful story. Mr. Vinny Michna, 1996 number sense state champion. That come right ahead. Let me take a quick moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you smash that like button, and that you make a comment below. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Let's spread this beauty, let's spread this joy to as many people as possible. The 1996 number sense Class 2A state champion, Mr. Vinny Michna, right ahead. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. For a real treat today. In the house, we have the 1996 number sense state champion, Class 2A, a proud Salado High School Eagle, Mr. Vinny Michna. Welcome, Mr. Vinny Michna.
Thanks, Sol. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. I'm really looking forward to get your insight. 1996, it's been a little while.
Yeah. I've had to take a few trips down memory lane, but it's been great reminiscing. So
awesome. So let's start off by asking, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Obviously just making it through the pandemic has been, nice. It's not over yet, it seems, right? There's still things going on that we'll probably have to deal with, but things have gotten closer to normal the last few months, which is really nice. Other than that, life's going great. No complaints here.
Hey, so what are you up to nowadays? Where's home, and what's your career?
Yeah, I live in Houston, Texas. I work in the semiconductor industry. I work for a company called NVIDIA. They specialize in GPUs. A lot of gamers are pretty familiar with NVIDIA. I work on the data center side, so there's a lot of GPU-based applications that are used in high-performance computing and AI. So I work on that side of the business. I help design reference systems that incorporate NVIDIA's technology into products that people can buy beyond just an individual GPU or an individual CPU. So an entire solution. And I'm an electrical engineer by trade, so I design the hardware that goes into those systems.
Wow, sounds fascinating. Sounds technical. Sounds mathematical to me.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I don't do as much math as I probably wanted to when I got involved in this career in the first place. I thought I'd be doing a lot of math. I do some math, but it's, everything's, on computers these days, right? So all of the calculations, the computer takes care of that for you, which is, good in some ways, but a little disappointing in other ways because, math can be fun. So
I'm sure work takes up the lion's share of your time, but when not working, how do you have fun? What are your hobbies and interests?
I like to run. I like to be outdoors. So I'd like to spend time running every day, like hiking and camping and exploring the outdoors. At least once or twice a year, I like to put all my camping gear on my back and go disappear in the wilderness for a week or so at a time, just to kind of get away from the world. But just time to myself. It's a lot of fun exploring. That's probably one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, sounds like fun, but I don't know about running in this Houston heat though.
Yeah. Well, you get used to it though. It's if you're going to be a runner in Houston, you got to be able to handle it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, 1996 number sense state champion. Where are you from? Born and raised, and what is your cultural heritage?
Um, so I grew up in Salado, Texas, which is a small town in Central Texas, middle class community. Lived there my whole life until I moved out to go to college. So my parents, my mom grew up in Oklahoma, and my dad grew up in the Central Texas area. So I have a lot of family in Central Texas, and that's where I spent most of my life. And then when I went to college, I went to the University of Houston, and I've been in Houston ever since. So that's 21 years. Well, 21 years since I graduated college, and then 4 more years before that, so 25.
So you're a U of H Cougar?
Yes, I am.
So am I. Just so you
Nice.
know. Go Cougar.
Nice. Yeah, loving the basketball team these days. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's enjoyable. Hey, I'm back from the Five Slamma Jamma days as a fan.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Well, I went in the late 90s, so it was a little bit different as far as the quality of the basketball team back then, but they've made up for it these last few years. So.
Awesome. Cougar, fellow Cougar. Hey, when did you realize that you had talent for mathematics?
Well, it's interesting because when when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, I mean, I remember kind of having an obsession with numbers, not an extreme obsession, but one of the things that my mom keeps bringing up when she tells people stories from my childhood is that I would solve math problems on the wall. So instead of coloring on the wall, I would do math problems on the wall. It was math was definitely one of my best subjects. I didn't feel like I was like super great at it, but I got good grades in it, and eventually got asked to do some of the UIL stuff when I got into 6th grade. I think is my first exposure to it, and it was just as a result of getting decent grades in math growing up.
Wow. So that 6th grade was your introduction to competitive mathematics?
Yeah. That was when I first started. That was when I was first exposed to number sense. My teacher was Mrs. Lackey, and she invited me to join the team. And I remember going to the district meet, and I think I got 5th place or something like that. I never really practiced it or tried to do anything outside of just showing up to the meet and taking the test. But yeah, that was my first exposure to it.
Hey, great shout out to Mrs. Lackey.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. 6th grade math.
Who inspired you, shaped your value system? I'm sure your parents, some teachers. You want to do some shout outs?
Sure. Yeah. Certainly my high school math teacher, Dennis Cabaniss. He was my teacher for 5 years, from 8th grade through 12th grade. So, algebra 1 through calculus. It was a small school, right? So, but yeah, I had him for 5 years. He was also my, math and number sense coach. So, definitely the biggest influence on my academic career overall, not just number sense and math, but yeah, he was definitely a big influence. Mr. Quick, Danny Quick, was my physics teacher in high school, and of course I love physics. I love science, so I enjoyed talking to him, of course, and learning from him.
Hey, I know Mr. Cabaniss. He's a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I just recently met him at the state meet, so I know he's a legend.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. He's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
And Mr. Quick in physics.
Yes.
Awesome. I was going to ask. I want to ask about UIL, the 1996 season, and Salado High School. What was Salado High School like in 1996? What do you remember about those days?
Well, Salado High School in '96. It was your typical small town. Everybody knows everybody's school. I really enjoyed my time there. I thought we all, at least from my point of view, it all seemed like we all got along really well. I didn't have any recollections of animosity with other students outside of the normal typical teenage drama stuff, right? But it just felt like it was a great place to learn. A lot of really good teachers. I learned a lot from them, and a lot of really nice fellow students who I really got to enjoy growing up with. It was a great place to learn, a great place to go to school.
Awesome. You paint quite a pleasant picture of Salado in 1996.
Yeah, it was nice. I think it still is very nice too.
Wow, wow. So you already did a shout out to your coaches. Did you have any teammates back in those days, or you were more solo?
No, definitely. Brent Cabaniss, who was Dennis Cabaniss' son, he was at least a 4 or 5 time state champion.
Really?
He won number since, I think he won 3 years, sophomore through senior year, and then he won the mathematics contest his junior and senior year, I believe. So yeah, he was an inspiration, right? Obviously, Kyle Anderson was on our team, and we definitely focused more on the team aspect of it, which was really nice, right? Focus on the team, and the individual results will come. And so those two definitely did the most competitions together with, and yeah, they were both incredibly smart, incredibly hardworking, and they're really good guys.
Awesome. So y'all were a cohesive team. Did you go to many tournaments?
Yeah, we did a lot of academic meets over the year. I think maybe 1 or 2 in the fall semester, but usually in the spring. Couldn't tell you exactly how many, but I would say maybe around 10 meets per year, approximately. It seemed like almost every weekend we were going to a different meet. And so, yeah, we had a lot of practice at different meets, and then of course leading up to the district, regional, and state meets. Yeah, we went to quite a few.
State champion, man. How do you become a state champion? What were your study habits?
Well, my study habits were focused on taking as many tests as I could. It was Coach Cabaniss, every year I remember he would give me a folder of practice tests that was maybe this thick, right? I mean, it was test after test after test. And I just got in the habit of taking multiple tests a day. It was one of those things where, success breeds success, and that when you see yourself improving, you want to improve more as a result of that. It's almost like a drug in that sense. So, I started off taking, a few tests a day, and just the more I took, the more I wanted to take. And I would say probably from my sophomore year through my senior year, I probably spent about an hour a day taking tests on average.
Wow.
So, when you first start off, right, your speed is not as fast as it would get when you get better, right? So by the end, I was probably taking, 6 or 7 tests a day. Early on, maybe, 2 or 3 tests a day. Practice tests, and then you take the test, you grade it, and you find out what you got wrong and why did you get it wrong, and kind of work it from there, right? Either research how to solve it, or, okay, I made a silly mistake, how do I fix that in the future? So my junior year, we were fortunate enough to have a dedicated class specifically for our number sense team. So we had, I don't remember how long the class was it maybe 50 minutes or something like that, but we would take a few tests during that time as well. And it's just a continual feedback loop. You take a test, you find out what you did wrong, you fix that, then you take another test, and you go from there. So
awesome. Hey, do you remember any rivalries on those days, either locally, regionally, or statewide?
I remember hearing stories from some of the other schools, but I really didn't think of it as a rivalry. It was more just about, our team and just improving ourselves. Even the meets themselves, it was just us against ourselves. We spent a lot of time practicing, and it was our chance to kind of measure ourselves and see where we were at. And I never really thought of it as competing against other schools, but, just me competing against myself, and, how good can I do? Where am I at? Right. You can practice all you want, but how do you do in the games? Right. And that's what the meets were for. And that's kind of, so it really wasn't a rivalry with other schools. It was more just, rivalries with ourselves.
What is your most memorable moment or moments from those years?
I mean, it's really hard pinpoint one specific memory. I mean, just thinking back of all of the meets that we went to, and number sense is a 10-minute test, but we would go to a meet. We'd get there. Number sense was usually one of the first events, if I recall correctly. And then we'd be there for the rest of the day, right? So just what I remember the most is competing in the taking the test in the morning, and then spending the rest of the day hanging out with teammates and meeting people from other schools and talking to them. And I remember just the events surrounding the competition more than the actual competitions themselves. And those are good memories, right? It's really enjoyable to think back on those times.
How does it feel to be a state champion?
Well, it certainly was certainly felt really good to win. The best part of it, though, is just it felt like it was not only a payoff for all the preparation that I did, but also all the people who had invested in me, right? My coaches, my parents, right? They spent a lot of time helping me, preparing me, giving me advice, and it's their hard work that pays off too. It's not just me, right? So, and hopefully, and I'm pretty sure they would say that they felt a sense of accomplishment and rewards based on the success that myself and the other members of my team had, right? And that's the best part is they put their faith and confidence in you, and you justified that faith. So that was probably the best part. And bringing pride to the school, I think a lot of people thought that it brought positive press to the school and the town. That's a really good feeling too. So those are probably the best parts of being a state champion.
Awesome. I'm glad you make that point. I'm a coach, so when my kids win, I feel the joy. I think I feel more joy than they do.
Yeah, that's very likely.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, where do you keep that gold medal? Those are special.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I don't have it anymore. And actually, I had a shadow box full of medals because we also got gold medals for the team competitions, and we had several team championships at the state level as well, but also from district and regional. I gave them away to a neighbor a few years ago because I was moving. I just didn't have the space to carry them over. So I don't know what's happened to them since. I'm sure some people would be disappointed to know that I gave them away, but it's just the way it goes.
Hey, so you went to U of H. You're a proud Cougar.
Yes.
What degree did you earn?
Electrical engineering is my degree.
And did your UIL experience help you with that path?
Oh, absolutely. The one thing that I really learned from UIL was, the amount of work it takes to be good at something. And, when I did preparation for number sense competitions, like I mentioned before, it was just take a lot of tests and practice and practice and practice. And I kind of took the same approach in college to my, math and engineering classes. It's like number sense. It's at the end of the day, most of your grade comes from taking a test, right? So, well, how do you prepare for a test? Well, you practice and you practice and you practice, and you don't just practice the night before the test. So my philosophy in college was, whenever I had a test, I would prepare by solving as many problems as I could that I thought would be related to the test in the weeks leading up to the test. So I never, waited until the last minute and tried to cram everything in. I would usually spend about an hour a night for the 2-week period leading up to the test, just solving as many problems as I could, homework problems. I would dig through my textbooks and find problems that weren't assigned in class and try and solve them. And, the day of the test, it just felt, relaxed, and I would see other students, they're furiously thumbing through their notes, and I knew I was prepared because, I had learned from my UIL days that, preparation is the king, right? If you've practiced, you're gonna do well if you really know the material and you've spent the time preparing.
Awesome. Have you ever returned to Salado High School, or is that part of your distant past?
I've gone to my class reunions, so certainly my 10 and 20 year. We didn't have a 25th year reunion, I think mainly due to COVID, of course. But yeah, so I've been to my class reunions, got to walk through the high school at my last reunion, which was great. And of course, seeing my old classmates was really nice. But, and my family still lives in Salado. So I do, return to the town quite frequently. I haven't been too involved with the things that have gone on at the school since I left. I've heard a few things here and there. I know they've won a lot more UIL academic meets since I left. They've had several state champions in some of the disciplines. So I know they've had a lot of success there. And so it's great to hear. Yeah.
You'd be glad to know that the current, just this last state meet in May, Salado High School, they won the number sense again, the individual state champion.
Nice.
Cooper Chambliss. Wow.
Nice. Well, congrats to him.
So they have a history, man. That's like turning into like a dynasty over there.
Yeah. I think Brent kind of started it when he won state, and then I followed him, and then I know they've had several state champions since. So Coach Cabaniss knows what he's doing out there. Let's put it that way.
Mr. Cabaniss, man, he knows what he's doing. That's a legendary Coach Cabaniss.
Yep.
What do you value the most about your UIL journey?
The one thing that I really value is I felt that was the first time in my life that I realized what it took, in this world to be good at something. Not that I was the greatest at it, but just how to practice and how to, improve yourself at something is a skill that I didn't know beforehand. But going through the process of practicing and learning and seeing the results of the effort that I put in, it was a lesson that, I've kind of been able to carry with me for the rest of my life. So, I know that you just don't show up and, you're suddenly good at something, right? And not just practicing, but practicing, I don't want to say the right way, but in a way that leads to improvement. And that comes from, talking to people that have more experience, talking to your coaches or your teachers, right, who have knowledge that they can impart to you instead of just learning it on your own. I think back to when I was a kid, and I really wanted to be good at basketball. And I would go out in my backyard and I would shoot hoops all day, but it wasn't focused practice, right? I was just kind of, throwing up shots and doing silly things, right? And so I wasn't great at basketball, but I wanted to be, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to actually practice to be good at it. And when I got into UIL and started seeing the improvements that, that came from the processes that I went through, that's when kind of the light bulb came on. Oh, this is how, people get, better at things. This is how professional athletes get to where they're at. This is where successful musicians, this is how they get to where they're at, right? It's practice. And it's a really valuable lesson. I've carried it over ever since then. It's like a formula that I can go back to and reapply whenever I encounter something that I want to get better at, which still happens even at this stage of my life.
Awesome. State champion, what advice can you offer for the young students of today that might come across this interview?
Yeah, I would just say, work hard, have fun, enjoy the journey, right? The journey is the best part. At some point, things are going to come to an end, whether it's, your, competitions. There's going to like if, let's say you're involved in number sense, there's going to be a point where you've taken your last number sense test and you're never going to take one again. And so the competitions are fun, but to me, the journey is funner, right? The process of getting better. It's a really fun feeling. So enjoy the process, not just the payoff at the end, but the process is where it's at.
Great advice. So 1996, number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna?
1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for me? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for me? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for me? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for me? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you, Mr. Vinny Michna? 1996 number sense state champion. What does the future hold for you Well, I'm going to continue, working my career, obviously. I have a 15-year-old daughter. Eventually she's going to finish high school and we'll get her through college. And, at some point, retire and do some of the things that, I talked about earlier, like hiking and camping and, exploring. I'd like to do that when I'm relatively young. So that's the goal. That's what I hope the future holds for me. You never know. Life has a way of throwing curveballs and being interesting. But no matter what happens, I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to the future. So.
Awesome. Any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
Yeah, just some of the things that we talked about earlier. First of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate you reaching out to me, interviewing me. I have a lot of respect for the teachers and the coaches, not only the ones that work with me, but at every school, right? Just on the UIL side, as I mentioned earlier, we had several meets a year, and those things would basically take up an entire Saturday, and the coaches and teachers would have to give up their Saturdays, right, for their students, and so it's good to remember that and say thank you when you can. I probably didn't say thank you enough to my teachers, but I wish I had, right? But it's really appreciate the sacrifices that you all make. And I've coached soccer with my daughter when she was growing up, right? So I've been on the coaching side, and so I understand the passion and the effort that coaches and teachers put into their jobs and into their students, and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you, and thank you to all the teachers that I had in my life. They've all been greatly appreciated.
Hey, that's some great parting words right there, especially hearing it from a teacher's perspective. What I'm saying? Hey, I appreciate. It's a labor of love for us guys. It's a labor of love, man. But it is time consuming.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Hey, Mr. Vinny Michna, I can't thank you enough. You go into the archive, you see your name, and now you've given it a face, a personality, a story. I really, really appreciate that. Hey, I didn't know that you were in Houston. I'm in Houston. I'm a proud UH Coug also, man.
Nice.
I know some good taquerias, man.
Really?
Yeah, I know some great taquerias, man. So
okay.
You ever want to get together, have some lunch, talk some UIL stuff? I'm game, man, especially during the summer. Teachers have a little bit more time during the summer.
Okay, sure.
So
yeah, that'd be nice. Man. Okay, yeah, absolutely. That sounds great.
Hey, I appreciate that. Mr. Vinny Michna, 1996 number state champion. You've been so gracious with your time, and I appreciate all the wisdom you've imparted. And I want to say thank you so very much.
Yeah, no, thank you. I've enjoyed this quite a bit. So thank you for reaching out and spending time with me.
Great. Farewell.
Bye.
Wow, what an enjoyable conversation. Some great insight into UIL from the 1996 number state champion, Vinny Michna, a proud Salado High School Eagle. Thank you very much, Mr. Vinny Michna. Let me take a moment real quick and ask that if you enjoy this content, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you smash that like button, and that you leave a comment below. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. I have many wonderful, great things in store ahead for this channel, and I really appreciate your support. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.